Okay. Wow, these lights are really bright. The title and the talk outside the door is on MCP-UI, and it's the same technology, but we changed the title. But anyways, so I'm going to talk about moving past simple MCP tools to MCP agents. Basically, just to introduce myself, I'm Darren Shepard, Chief Architect at Obot. I don't know, we do an MCP gateway, but I'm personally very interested in the agent layer, and I've been very, very obsessed about agents in MCPs. So I spoke at the last session, the last MCP Dev Summit that we did, and I was very enthusiastic, but nobody had any idea what I was saying. It's like just completely confused on everything. So this time I'm going to try to be a little bit more coherent, but I'm still just as enthusiastic, because ever since I've been fooling with MCP, it's like I see the potential of the cool things that we can do. So since the last Dev Summit, I basically just started building. It's like I was trying to explain to people like, oh, these cool things we can do, but nobody really got it. So I'm like, I'll just go build it. So I'm showing basically what I've built and what I've figured out, and I'm pretty excited about it because surprisingly it's worked. So what is it that I want to talk about? So we can all kind of agree. Let's see what the time is. We can all kind of agree that, well, I don't know if we all agree, but this is like the aspirational statement since we're all MCP people, is the future of the internet will be MCP servers. So like there's this idea, there's just MCP servers out there and we magically connect to them and agents do fun, neat things or whatever. So, that's where we're trying to head. But the case that I'm trying to make right now, and what I've kind of proven out, is MCPs should not just be like simple tools that map to APIs. That's kind of what, there's always this thing where it's like, oh, why don't I just use Open API? Or like, can I just take my existing APIs and turn them into MCP servers? Like, why not? Well, it's like, there's a certain use case for that, but like that should not be the only thing that we're doing. So this is kind of the case that I'm trying to make here is really, we should be moving much more towards MCPs should be conversational agents that start with a single tool that you can actually just converse with the agent through that. And so this is like very basic idea. It seems like kind of stupid and obvious, but I'll go into the details of kind of what I built, why, it's a very simple, stupid, obvious idea, also ends up being very good, but also very difficult to implement, because there's a lot more to it than kind of just like, oh, just create one tool and it does agentic things. Okay, so again, this is, it's not just an idea, this is something I built. So Nanobot is the project that I'll be showing off here. I'm super excited about this because I've really put a lot of effort into it. And again, I think it's working well. So I'm going to kind of go back to some motivation here. So imagine a situation where it's like, companies today, they're like, I want to build my MCP server for my company or whatever. So I'm going to use a banking example, because my motivations for a lot of the stuff on like why we should move forward towards more agents that are conversational based, it has a lot of kind of like business motivations, or not business, like I want to make money, but like what practically makes sense for somebody who's trying to create an agent and expose it to the world for people to interact with it. So it's very important that that agent represents that company. Like it's a carefully controlled customer experience, like whatever that agent's doing, they're responsible for, they want to make sure their customer's happy. But also in this new world of, that we're hopefully headed towards, where it's like, if people are conversing with agents on behalf of like a company or whatever, like that agent should exist in all channels. Like I should be able to text it, I should be able to email it, I should go on a website. It's like this agent, it knows me and everything. So it should be, multimodal and all that. And then security and privacy is like an utmost concern. So when I've been building all this Nanobot stuff with agents, I always kind of think about like, what if a bank implemented this? Because it's like, they care a lot about, security, money and all that. Okay, so the current approach today is like, it's like, because you can see there's like I think there's a PayPal MCP that's kind of like this or whatever. It's like, this is the current approach. If I was to build an MCP server today, it's like, okay, we'll just create these tools, like list account, do these things or whatever. So now I have these tools, expose them out to the world. You can hook it up to any client. So kind of what's the problem with this approach? Well, the problem is basically like raw data and services don't represent a company. It's too fine-grained. Like there's a lot of reasons why, but it's like, a lot of times, for example, companies for the most part just sell a commodity, but it's something else around it. It's the, the service or the, something else they've layered on top of that thing. So it's like, if I just turn my bank into like, it's just a checking account and you can, it's like, well, what am I getting out of that, right? So it doesn't represent a company. The user experience is completely unpredictable. because you don't know what LLM, what client, what the prompt they're using is, what happens if it gets combined with other tools. Like these are all things like we technically know are an issue today. And I'm saying like, even if we technically configure, can kind of fix that, it's still a problem. It's like not, yeah, it's like we can fix technology, but like fundamentally, there's kind of an issue here. There's all this stuff around PII, trust, and all this stuff. Like I'll give you an example. Is like if I list my checking account, let's say like all my transactions, I want to show that to the LLM because then it could do something. It could like have some analysis of what that user is spending their money on or something. But the problem is like if I just wrote a tool that's just like list transactions and it can be exposed to any LLM, that's terrible because most LLMs are harvesting data today, right? If they're on a free, so it's like, so then it's like, oh, well, I can only expose it to certain trusted clients. And so then at that point, we're not building like the new internet. Like the internet today, there's no inherent trust of the end. Like someone just goes to that thing and uses it. So it's like I'm putting this agent out there, anybody should just go directly to it and use it. But in this situation, it's like it has to be like, oh, it has to be a trusted client or ChatGPT or Claude or whatever. It just doesn't make sense. You're just locking in those channels. But fundamentally, what it comes down to is just really lack of control. It's like by just exposing these raw tools or whatever, you just can't control the user experience. You can't control exactly what you can't test it. You can't validate it. It's like it's just not like really what a company wants to do. Okay, so what's the solution? So to me, the solution is basically build an MCP agent. This is what I'm trying to pitch. So first you start with an agent. So you include your appropriate LLM, like you have to choose the one that makes sense for you, the one that you've tested, you've evaluated the prompts, you very carefully craft prompts. Like if anyone's ever looked at these like prompt leaks that come from ChatGPT or Claude Code or whatever where they leak the prompts, those are long prompts. Like someone put a lot of effort into those prompts. It's just words, but it takes a lot of time to write those things. And then a very carefully curated and secured set of MCP tools. Because people care about, like, there's all these things about like prompt injection and all this stuff. And it's like, we all know the security issues exist. You can work around them as long as you understand the domain. Like, what does it have access to? Is it looking at untrusted data? Is it trusted data? So there's things where it's like, okay, well, I can actually expose these MCP servers to data and stuff like that if I know, there's a certain like trust boundary. So, certain tools and everything. So you build that agent, okay? But then basically what I'm saying is, okay, we'll now take that agent and expose it as an MCP tool. So before when I was saying like, if you were to build an MCP, if you were to build like an MCP server for a bank, like that approach in this slide back here, it's like, you want to start this way. This is a good approach. Like this approach, you build like a decent agent. The problem is that you just lack control as you expose it to everyone. So instead what we do is we just take basically that agent, we put it inside of an MCP server, and then we expose that MCP server as a chat tool. It's like super, super simple idea, right? So I've been fooling around with this, but it's not actually that simple. Like, because a lot of people obviously be like, oh, tools are going to move towards agentic. We're going to do agentic tools. It's like, well, yeah, obviously you can just write some in your tool, call an LLM and do something. But what I'm trying to do here is kind of more than just, oh, call an AI. It's like I'm trying to take a full conversational, chat bot and put that as a tool. So in practice, this is what it actually looks like. So in the middle here is a Nanobot, which is an MCP host. So that's like not a term a lot of people really get or are aware of because they think of MCP in terms of client and server. But there's also another one called an MCP host. The host is the thing that runs the client, connects it to an LLM, manages threads and sessions and identifying the user in some way, like some configuration. So what I've done with Nanobot is because I want to put the agent in an MCP server, it's not just like, oh, I can just write some Python. Well, I guess you could write some Python. You can do anything with Python. But like the thing is I'm actually putting an entire MCP host in an MCP server, okay? So super complicated. It's like, why is it hard? It's because like what I'm pitching is like the agent is really taking the host. Like there's a talk over there about Goose. Goose is a great client. Imagine if you took Goose, where it's like I've added these MCP servers and this prompts and all this stuff, and I picked up Goose and now I packaged that as an MCP server and deployed it on a server somewhere else, so then somebody else can consume it through like this simple tool. So it's like if you look at Goose, like there's a lot of code in there. It's doing a lot of things. So basically it's It's very easy to describe, it's hard to implement. Also, I'm looking for repeatable patterns. So it's like, I'm trying to basically standardize the MCP host to a certain degree. Like this is getting kind of super technical description of this, but that requires standardizing basically what the interface to the agent looks like, chat, and then also a declarative configuration. So the nice thing is, even though this is super complicated, what I've just kind of explained, from a user's perspective, it's actually super easy. It ends up being a config file that looks basically like this. Has like a model, instructions, and what are your MCP servers. It's very similar to like if you have used custom GPTs, like custom GPTs, you could pick like the model, the prompt, and open API services. You just swap that out with the MCP servers. So the concept is very simple. Like, so for a user, it's like, oh, I just have to do this. This is actually my agent. And so this is what Nanobot actually does, is you just have this little file, you run it, and then it turns into an MCP server, and now you can interact with it. So let me actually demo this, so hopefully it makes a little bit more sense, okay? Let's see, So what I'm gonna do is, let's see, let me exit the present, oh no, it's this one. Okay, I think, we're good? All right, yep, okay, so you should be seeing this now. Okay, so what I've done is I've written a MCP server, what? Make it bigger. Make it bigger, okay. Yeah, I mean, there's not much to read here because I'm just basically gonna, so I've written an MCP server that implements like kind of those lower level tools. So hopefully you're all familiar with the inspector. So what I'm gonna do, hold on, let me launch inspector here. And yes, I live dangerously. That's popping open. Okay, so hopefully you can kind of, I can make that bigger too. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, just show you here, okay, so get the idea. So I've written an MCP server that has like my basic, the tools, the lower level tools I was talking about. So I can list accounts, run that, right? Then get transaction, oh, I have to put the account name, like checking or something like that. This was all vibe coded, so it's like, it's just kind of garbage. It's like, but it gives you the idea. Okay, so we start with that. So I've got this lower level MCP. This is all my low level tool calls and stuff that I can give to an agent. So then the next step here is I'm gonna go and I'm gonna create my Nanobot configuration. It's similar to what I showed on that slide, but it's just gonna be a little bit more complicated where it's like, I'm gonna give a description. That makes sense for some reason, like some starter message, instructions, and this one MCP server. So here now I can say Nanobot run the file. Okay, so then on port 80, or on 8080, I'm now running this new MCP server. Okay, so if I go here, switch this out, /MCP, reconnect, go to tools, clear this thing, well, whatever, list tools, you'll see there's just one tool there called chat. Okay, so then I can go in here and I can talk to it and say like, hello, who are you? Let's see if this thing actually works. Yep, I think it's doing things, hopefully. Yeah, so that's chatting with it. But the thing that's important here, these are all these like kind of subtle details of why this gets complicated. This is conversational and stateful. So it's like I can then go back to it and say, what did I just say, right? Run tool, okay? So US, hello, okay, so it's maintaining context in session. So as I continue to interact with this, now this is an agent. This is like, I hate the word agent because everyone just has a different view of it. So I'm very much focused on these conversational agents. Like I'm very focused on kind of interacting with humans because I think if you can figure out interacting with humans, automating that is not difficult at all. Like the human part is the hard part. Then once you have that figured out, you can figure out how to do it automated. That's the simple part. Okay, but the idea of this is like, so great, I've defined this dumb little tool. Okay, it's not as simple as that. I've done a lot more, and there's a lot of like why it's designed the specific way. But there's a couple other things that are kind of interesting in this kind of interface or specification I'm trying to push here. Is there's also some resources which have the chat history. This is way too small, so you can't see it, but this is like the whole so you can call an MCP resource and you can get the history of the conversation. And there's also this special one called chat progress. And this is to track like if I say like, hello, and it's responding back, I can watch this resource because there's this thing, subscribe. You can subscribe to resources in MCP. So if I subscribe to the resource, I can watch that and see the progress of that message. So I get streaming results. Okay, so I've defined, this whole API because it's more than just like, okay, it's like the simple tool, but the idea is like, okay, I have this agent now. So I have this agent interface. I've defined this thing as an agent. I should be able to then like put any UI front end, anything on top of it, like SMS or a web or mobile or whatever. So I've designed it so it's rich enough to kind of do that. So when you run Nanobot, like it's running on 8080, I can just hit it on 8080. Whoa, that's huge. Let me make that a little smaller. Okay. So it's black, fine, whatever. So this is an actual chat interface. So this interface here is completely driven off of that one tool. So it's like I'm giving enough information out of that one tool to be able to render this interface, okay? So I can do something here and say like, okay, list my transactions. For, I don't know, checking or something like that. Okay, so this is gonna go, so this is like using MCP-UI, like Nanobot. One of the things that's kind of interesting about Nanobot, it's pretty much the only like MCP client out there that implements every single feature of MCP and MCP-UI. Except for fast MCP, but then that's a library. Or not a library, whatever. But this is like a full UI and everything like that. So, yeah, so it's like, so I get this UI here, okay? But, so if I now go, so I've created this tool, I can now, like if I'm talking, kind of directly to the agent here, through Nanobot, this is like me, like I say hello, and it's going directly to the agent, right? But if I have this agent, I'm gonna be exposing it out to other agents, right? So if I go to, let me go to Goose. So this is interesting. I'm gonna show a bunch of different clients because they all support different type of functionality. So I can't show them. So it's if I go to Goose, I've already configured this. So this is talking to, let me see, extensions. I already configured this so it's talking to the bank or whatever, this local host one. Okay, so if I go to chat and I say, how much money do I have in my checking account, okay? So what's interesting here is, so what's gonna happen is that message got sent to the Goose LLM. The Goose LLM, which is really an agent, okay? And then that then forwarded that request onto my agent, okay? So it's calling this with this prompt here, please provide the balance of my checking account. So it's telling that agent. So we're doing agent-to-agent communication. But the nice thing about this, like when I was saying about like a business is not just like these raw calls, is by the agent talking to the agent and is giving this description of checking my account, you see the user behavior as opposed to like, if you just see like transfer, it's like, you don't know why they did that, what they were doing, what's the greater context, because that's all in the agent outside. But in this way, the only way for the agent to communicate is through this other layer. So you see the full context, which also allows you to give a much better user experience. Okay, so you can see here, this is like, so this is a bunch of like cool little technical details that get way too nitty gritty, but it's like this agent talked to this agent, but it's also proxying through all the resources because they support MCP-UI. So you can see like it works with MCP-UI. Whereas if I went to Claude and I did a similar thing, it's like list my checking account here. They don't support MCP-UI. So because of the nature of MCP and resources and whatnot, it degrades nicely that it's like, oh, I just get a pure text interface. It's like not as cool. This other one showed me this nice little picture and I could click on it and do things. But here it's just gonna reply back with just pure text. Okay, and then the last one I wanted to show you here is, oh, it's gonna respond back eventually? I don't know, maybe it broke. Let me go over to, why the heck is it? Oh, shoot. I probably need to restart Claude because it gets stuck if whatever. You get the idea. It would respond with text, but I think it's because I have to restart Claude because it gets stuck on the reestablishing sessions through MCP remote because they don't actually support remote MCPs. But anyways, let me go to VS Code because I want to show you this one other thing because it's super important. Again, why this is so complicated and to actually implement this stuff. Okay, so here again, I've hooked this up to the bank, my bank one here. And here I'm actually going to do something besides just asking. I'm going to try to do something. Say, okay, can you transfer, I hope this works, half of my checking to savings, right? Okay, watch. Please work. Let's see. Okay, so you can see it's calling this the agent. So it's saying transfer half, so this is, VS Code calling that one. Right, it popped up, so now this is a confirmation, this is elicitations. The reason why I'm doing it in VS Code is it's one of the few clients, besides Nanobot, that supports elicitations. So this is so geeky cool or whatever, because what's happening is I'm making an MCP call to an agent, and then that agent is making an MCP call to the transfer tool, which is then firing an elicitation, which is then bubbling back up through, right? But this is the cool thing about the protocol. It's this all works. So it's this is doing agent-to-agent communication, and this crap's really working. It's I'm doing the agent-to-agent communication, but I'm also have human in the loop here, where it's you're not going to just trust AI to do a transfer or whatever. But this is the cool thing is I'm actually seeing with the patterns and stuff that I'm fooling around. It's I feel confident I could actually build an agent for a banking platform, a banking app. And because there's all these other things about with MCP-UI, you can visualize data and show it to the user, but it doesn't go to the LLM. So you can show the user information, but not the LLM information. Anyways, so I can respond to that. It might have timed out while I was doing that, so it might fail. But anyways, so, okay, let me, yeah, it probably timed out while I was talking. Well, I don't know. Anyways, oh, no. Oh, there was a timeout processing. Yeah, okay. So I didn't respond fast enough. Okay, let me go back to my slides here. So that was the basic demo. I hope it made some sense. It's, it's like Russian nesting dolls. That's kind of the problem. It's we're putting things inside of things, and it gets complicated. But I think it's really good. So it's just some really quick, I'm just going to blow through these really quickly for people who care about, kind of this idea in the lower level, is there's a lot of things, things you have to figure out. And I've done is basically a thread is mapped to an MCP session. That's how we manage the context, which is means that sessions are long-lived. There's a bunch of implications about that. Through Nanobot, it's doing all this nesting and delegation of sessions, which gets really interesting with elicitations and OAuth and stuff. But the super cool thing is it all works. The spec and everything, it's working. It's so I'm actually proving that we can kind of go agent to agent and do all this stuff, and it's working. You do have the ability, when I'm pushing this idea of we should have conversational agents that expose a chat tool. That doesn't mean you can't also still expose regular tools. If for some reason you want to have something that's more fine-grained, that you can still do that because it is an MCP server. You can still do anything. I'm just pitching this one idea of hey, do it as a chat tool. MCP makes because of MIME types, it makes supporting different channels pretty nice, because you can just have MIME types that are specific to the channel. So it's my MCP server today is just returning back UI resources. If you don't know about UI resources, you don't show them. But if you can show them, then you do. So you just you're adaptive to the channel. Yeah, and oops, sorry, going back here. Chat is it's designed to be, the method is designed to be async, and I implemented my own kind of crazy implementation of async tool calling to make this, it works synchronous, but synchronous is a crummy experience. You want to be able to do it asynchronous. So anyway, so I implemented something that's very, very close to the current SEP that's most likely going to get approved. So I'm in the process of porting over to that. But so then it'll support you'll be able to do chat through an async tool calling, which opens up a lot of really cool experiences. But there is still a gap in doing other crap, the partial results. That's something I want to. But anyways, so conclusion, just yeah, I don't know. Don't expose I just don't think we should be exposing these fine little MCP servers unless that's really what you want to do. It's because if you're exposing an API out to the world, then sure, do fine little. It's the same thing. But that APIs don't. It's unless your product is an API, that's not necessarily a customer user-facing thing. So if we're trying to build a customer user-facing thing, do it as agents. Anyways, you can see this. Nanobot.ai is where this is. The little demo app is on GitHub too, and that's about it.